on? What's going on?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
Chilling, man. Chilling. So I see we talking about Wilder and Claressa. We talking about with race and gender.
Yeah, we're talking about yeah.
So you feel like race and gender plays a role in their careers, or?
I feel like for Deontay Wilder, he was talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got the TV on in the background. You mute the TV.
Oh, my bad, man. It should be good.
All right. Now, what Wilder was talking about, I'm still hearing the echo. It could just be my phone.
Yeah, I got everything going.
Okay. So now Wilder was talking about race and talking about how white privilege or people believe what Tyson Fury said over him, and he feel that's because him being a black man, nobody wants to listen to him. And after he said that, here it is, maybe 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, Alexander Usyk was talking about fighting Wilder. Now Usyk doesn't want to fight him, and I thought that was odd. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, someone reached out to me, and they were like, "Hey, this could be a racial thing where they're kind of colluding for Chisora to beat Wilder because they don't want Wilder as this now perceived racist to potentially become a heavyweight champion, much less an undisputed heavyweight champion." And I was like, damn, I didn't even think about it like that. I said, that'll make an interesting conversation. So that's what we're talking about. And with Claressa Shields, he was like, it could be the same thing. And I was like, well, I don't agree with that. I think with her, I'm sure it's, race has something to do with it. Being a female has something to do with it. But it has a whole lot to do with how she's conducting herself. And I think intentionally looking to get reactions on social media. But I told him, I said, when I go live tonight, I'll talk about it. In addition to talk about all the other crazy shit we talk about. But I said, I'll take the first hour and a half and I'll talk about it. So that's what I'm doing, man. But what you got?
Well, for me first, I feel like with the Wilder and Usyk situation, it's weird. I mean, I thought it was weird from the jump that Usyk wanted to fight him. Because at this point in his career, Wilder really doesn't have anything much to offer. He's not a champion, and he hasn't been at the top of his game for a long time now. And he was a dude that was just fighting on Black Prime and nobody against nobody. So it was weird that Usyk went from AJ to Fury to Dubois, then wanting to fight Wilder. I'm guessing he wanted to have victories over the three kings of the heavyweight division at the time, which was Wilder, Fury, and AJ. But now that he backed out of it, I'm not going to say it was a race thing. Maybe he just came to his senses and realized that fight really doesn't make sense. I mean, would Usyk really get any credit for beating Wilder at this stage of his career?
I don't think so. That's why I was shocked that he wanted to fight him too.
Yeah, if this was Wilder maybe 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, but now it's Usyk would be an overwhelming favorite to beat him. So I was really shocked that he wanted to fight him. I'd much rather see Usyk either running back with AJ or Fury again before I see him fight Wilder. That would just be too easy. But as far as the race thing, Wilder always tried to play the race thing a lot throughout his career. Race does exist in boxing and always existed in boxing. I mean, politics exists in boxing, with going back to the mob days, like you were talking about Jack Johnson. But when it comes to Wilder and Claressa, they're like the male and female version of each other. I think stuff that they're very two controversial people. I think the stuff that comes out of their mouth and their actions gets them into trouble more than it's a race thing or a gender thing. And when they do get in trouble, they just always fall back to, it's because I'm a black man or I'm a black woman. Like, for instance, when Claressa recently came out her mouth and said something about 50 Cent after what 50 Cent said, I guess, because she perceived 50 was dissing her. As soon as 50 got back at her, what did she use? Oh, I'm a black female. 50 only wants to attack black females. I just don't like that. You know what I mean? I feel like all is fair and love is war. Like, if you're going to run off at the mouth, then you can't, try to throw the race card when somebody get back at you. I just don't like that. But is there racism in boxing? Well, there's racism in everywhere. Everything you do. You know what I mean? So But with them two, I don't think so. Because let's look at their career. Let's look at Wilder's career. Well, how would you rate Wilder's career?
I thought Wilder had.
AJ's fight.
Yeah, I thought he had an outstanding career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought he pretty much got everything he wanted. Besides the AJ fight, there was a couple of opportunities that I feel like he left on the table. For instance, I thought he should have fought Klitschko, but that wasn't a race. His own team said he wasn't ready for Klitschko, and they just never put him in there. That's documented. That's on the interview when his own manager said that, Shelly Finkel. He got the Tyson Fury fight, but that's a fight that he wanted. You know what I mean? So I don't really think racism plays a part in Wilder's career. And as far as Clarissa's career, I mean, I think she achieved everything she wanted to achieve. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think up to this point, as far as inside the ring, she definitely had a plan, and she executed the plan pretty successfully. With all of her accomplishments, yeah, no doubt. Inside the ring,
a black woman going to multiple different countries, winning 2 gold medals for her country. They could have robbed her like they robbed Roy Jones, like they robbed Floyd Mayweather, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And then coming into the pro game, dominating, winning multiple world titles, getting those opportunities as a black female. I mean, what else could she ask for? Now all the antics that's going on with her now, that's self-produced, right? I mean, nobody really doing anything to her.
But you don't think black people could have supported Wilder a bit more during his professional career, and even now with everything going on with Tyson Fury, when you hear some black people out here saying, man, Wilder's just basically a country bumpkin out here, man, that needs to get with the times. We're not in the damn 1800s no more. The racism doesn't exist. He's making excuses. When you hear people saying shit like that, what you think about that? You think they're being too harsh on him?
I mean, you know what though? I feel like it's a sport, right? This is how I look at it. I feel like it's a sport. I feel like, when you lose, you take it on the 10. When you take your L and you take your dub. Now, Wilder has been claiming that Fury has been cheating him for, 5+ years now? But he has yet to produce any proof. So, and I think the reason why people don't support him is because he has no validity to his claim. Like, my thing is, I think that these YouTube channels, when like the LBBC, the Black Boxing YouTube channels, they all supported him throughout that. They all made different videos supporting him and stuff like that. But what has Wilder produced? You can't go to court and say, hey, look at what these YouTubers did. That's not going to hold up. But what has he done? You know what I mean? What proof has he came and presented? What court date has he? Now, he did take Tyson Fury to court when Tyson Fury was trying to get out from giving him a third fight. But that was over. That was because Wilder wanted to make that money. But as far as legal action, he has never took any type of legal action on him. So how can we take him serious? Huh?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
That's like you telling somebody like, yo, man, this dude tried to do this to me, do that to me, and they like, yo, where's the proof? The police like, yo, where's the proof? And you don't have no proof. So like, what argument do you have? What leg do you have to stand on? You know what I mean? I think the black community has done a great job at defending Wilder. To be honest with you, especially them LBBC and black YouTube channels and stuff, they did a great job going to war for him. You know what I mean? But
what about the nation? What about the nation, the country? Why wasn't Wilder plastered all over? Getting the big time endorsement deals. What? With Claressa, I already kind of have an idea. But at the same time, why isn't Wilder getting the support like how the UK supports their fighters, white or black? Why Wilder doesn't get that support over here?
Well, I think you just said it. It's a country issue. I think for one, boxing in the UK and Ireland and all them other countries, those like the number one sports outside of like soccer and maybe rugby. Over here, boxing is not even a top 5 sport in America. You have basketball, football,
baseball,
you got NASCAR, you got hockey, baseball,
tennis, golf.
Golf. So it's like fighters really, not just black fighters, but fighters in general, have to really, like American fighters in general, black or white, have to really market themselves. It's like, look at, because let's be honest, the 2 top, probably richest boxers right now in the world, or the most marketable boxers in the world right now, are not even American, and that's Canelo and that's Anthony Joshua. Will you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, no doubt. 100%.
I think those are the two most richest boxers, now that Floyd Mayweather is retired, in the world. You know what I mean? And, you know, AJ gets the brand deals and stuff, I think, because he has a country and he has a good team. Eddie Hearn has done a great job at promoting Anthony Joshua. Al Heyman has, what has he done to promote Deontay Wilder?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, what have they done? You have an American champion, the greatest American champion that we have had in how long? American heavyweight champion that we have had in, how long? You haven't seen power like his since probably George Foreman, Shannon Briggs, and them. You know what I mean? As an American. And, yes, what has PBC and them done to market him? They have never really put him into the big fights. They have never really put, for prime example, right? Charles Martin was signed to PBC when he was a world champion. Instead of making Charles Martin versus Deontay Wilder, they gave Charles Martin to Anthony Joshua and let Anthony Joshua knock him out. So is that a country fault or is that your promoter's fault? If your promoters don't think that high of you, then why should we? You know?
No, I'm tracking with you. I'm tracking with you. You don't. So now that we're talking about it, it sounds like Wilder may have fallen kind of to that kind of Jack Johnson kind of role where he was more going against the system, more vocal, kind of doing what he wants, opposed to being more like the Joe Louis we were talking about, who a bit more disciplined and had a cleaner image and became a national hero. I'm trying to think of American black fighters who, but even the clean cut guys don't really get all that support. Andre Ward, man, was as clean cut as you can get, and he ain't really get that support. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I think because of Andre Ward, I mean, he don't really have a personality to sell.
You got to be likable and marketable. Yep, you got to be likable and marketable.
You got to be likable and marketable. I don't think you have to really. I mean, mind you, Terrence Crawford just became popular at the end of his career. You know, but how many times did Bob Arum say, Terrence Crawford can't sell, I lose money on Terrence Crawford? You know, I mean, how many times, Bob Arum was losing so much money on Terrence Crawford that they had to put him on pay-per-view, knowing that the pay-per-view would flop, but they had to put him on pay-per-view just to try to break even. You know what I mean? It wasn't until Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence that really put him in the limelight. And then when he fought Canelo and beat Canelo, forget it. Terrence Crawford is more popular now at that he's retired than he ever was in his career. You know what I mean? Guys like I feel like with Wilder though, I always say this, right? Because in the history of boxing, you can probably count in your hands how many successful Black American champions actually was good at marketing themselves. The top two that come to mind for me that revolutionized the game was Muhammad Ali. He was the first one to do it, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Those are the top two most marketable Black fighters in the history of the sport, in my opinion. Muhammad Ali did it first. I watched his documentary. He started talking trash when he seen a wrestler, I forget his name, doing it. He's seen how people hated him and loved him, but they still was paying to come watch him fight. So then after that, he started talking a lot of trash. And Muhammad Ali will always say, hate me or love me as long as you pay to get in. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali started a lot of this when he was like, look, I'm not fighting for nothing less than $1 million. I just cut a record with some record label. He made songs and everything. You know what I mean? He made music and all that. He used to hang with Sam Cooke and all that. Muhammad Ali revolutionized the game. And then when Floyd Mayweather came into it, he really did it. You know what I mean? And, you know, Floyd Mayweather was the only boxer in boxing history to make $1 billion off of boxing altogether throughout his career. So it's like, those are the only two that I think of, right? Unless I'm missing other people.
No. I'm sitting here right now thinking about Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, he was a big deal at the time. He made a lot of money during his era. But yeah, Muhammad Ali definitely took it to another level. for the era he was in, and everybody came after him. Floyd, he took the ball and ran with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's funny. Like Muhammad Ali and Floyd. I know there was a time when Muhammad Ali was kind of seen a little bit as a villain because of how outspoken he was and stuff like that. And Floyd definitely was seen as a villain. But with Deontay Wilder, he's seen. I think sometimes I think he was seen a little bit as a villain. But you know what I think the difference is? Muhammad Ali was likable and marketable. Floyd was still likable and marketable. Deontay, I don't know if he's really ever come off as likable and marketable. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Well, I used to like Deontay Wilder. I watched Deontay Wilder early in his career when he was fighting on Showbox and before he became a champion. He was a very different person. And the reason why I stopped liking him is because I feel like his personality changed. He switched up. I feel like he didn't take the sport serious enough after a while. He was with Mark Breland, and him and Mark Breland looked like lightning in a bottle. Like they just was perfect for each other. And it's like once Wilder beats Stavern the first time to become world champion, is after that he just really didn't take the sport seriously as he should. He didn't run. He didn't like to run. He admitted that on camera. They would talk about how he would leave the gym and go chase that girl that he used to be with. Now she's not with him no more. He talked about that too. And it's just like a lot of his bad habits caught up with him. I also feel like Deontay Wilder also was an envious person. I think that he wanted to be like AJ. And the reason why I say that is because I remember when they first met, and AJ told the story about how Wilder was like, yo, man, y'all doing the big over there. Because I think Wilder commentated AJ when he fought Klitschko. And AJ was saying like how Wilder never mentioned fighting him. He was like, yo, we got to do it like this in America, do it like this in America. But then as soon as Wilder touched back on stateside, he started talking all types of trash about AJ. But every time he would get around AJ, he don't have that same energy. Like when they just fought on the same card not too long ago. He reached out to shake AJ's hand, but he didn't have that same energy. And when I see stuff like that, it just makes me like you envy of that person. You just want what they want. You don't really want to fight them and do what they did to get it. You just want that handed to you. And I feel like it's a lot of people out there, especially in boxing, that want that Floyd Mayweather level, Muhammad Ali status, but they don't want to put the work in that they put in. So they try to cheat corners. They try to cut corners, and it just don't work out for them.
No, I'm tracking with you. I'm tracking with you.
Like, you know, AJ never cut corners. Like, let's be honest. When you compare resumes, Wilder and AJ, by far AJ has a better resume, right? By far.
Yeah, he has a better resume, and I've always said I felt that if they would have fought in their prime, I'm like, whoever landed first to me wins. But I felt he's definitely more skills, more technical, and that would have been a difficult fight for Wilder. But they both had the power to knock each other out. But I do agree, AJ. But he had the machine behind him, and Wilder. I think when Wilder came in, he came in with a bronze medal, but he was still learning how to box. You know what I'm saying? AJ, he started late. He started late too as an amateur, but he went on to get a gold medal. But he had the machine behind him to get him in certain fights. You know, but when they put him in there with Klitschko, that was a high risk fight, but hey, it paid off. You know what I'm saying? Big time, because he was able to get Klitschko out of there.
He rose to the challenge. Like, he had to get up off the canvas. I do feel like Klitschko may have been holding back a little bit in that fight, because I do think at some points when AJ was tired,
he had him. Yeah, he had him. He had AJ.
Like he was holding back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. AJ was dead tired and hurt, but it looked like Klitschko just didn't. Either Klitschko was holding back, or Klitschko just didn't have that youth in him no more to really finish him. But once AJ got his second win, it was over. Klitschko really couldn't do nothing with him. You know, but those are the fights that I mean Wilder should have been in. You know what I mean? But Al Heyman never put him in those fights.
What do you think would have happened to Anthony Joshua if Anthony Joshua still had his skill set, still dominated in the ring like he did, but he was outspoken like Deontay Wilder?
What do I think would have happened?
Yeah, do you think AJ's career would have went the same way it went? If he was outspoken like Wilder, talking about race relations, white privilege, the black man struggle. Do you think if AJ had Wilder's, perspective on life, and talked about it, especially when it comes to race, you think AJ would have still been in the position he's in now?
Probably not, because it would have been more weird coming from him, coming from where he comes from. Like, he doesn't know about the American struggle. You know, even though he has, no Nigerian roots, he's from Nigeria, but growing up in the UK, he probably wouldn't have had the same success. But that just comes back to, look, I'm always an advocate for keeping it real, right? But I also think that you also have to know when to turn it on and turn it off. I don't think you can say certain things every time, you know what I mean? I think that when it comes to wanting to secure those business deals with those big brands, you don't want to be silent, but you also want to make sure that you have some money to come home to at the end of the day. Because boxing is not forever, and I just feel like Wilder may have been too outspoken at the wrong time. You know, talked about how he wanted to kill a man in there, talked about how he wanted to know what it felt like to carry a baby, and talked about so many different things, talked about how AJ is another black man getting milked by a white man. I just think that sometimes you can't say certain things and then expect these big brands to market you. You know what I mean? I think that AJ, that's not who he really is, quiet and the nice, polite guy and stuff like that, because you see AJ now and you see how he talks and stuff like that. He talks like that now because he's at the end of his career, so the real AJ can come out. You know what I mean? But during the prime of his career, he had a good PR team that let him know what to say and what not to say.
So let me ask you this: when we take Deontay Wilder, you take Anthony Joshua, you think Wilder, AJ for the most of his career showed a disciplined image and carried himself in a kind of way publicly that turned him into almost like a national hero, and Wilder was more like, so AJ was more like Joe Louis, Wilder was more like Jack Johnson. Enormous controversy, just doesn't care. They look for the great white hope to take him down, and that's what happened. Do you think that Wilder was more to Jack Johnson, AJ was more to Joe Louis?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, though.
Right. I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I think people will look at it as like, oh, you a sellout. You like our uncle. I mean, Muhammad Ali used to call people Uncle Toms back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because Floyd Patterson, you guys like Andy Terrell and all of them, they tried to keep more of a respectful, and especially Floyd Patterson. They called him the gentleman of boxing. You know what I mean? So they, Muhammad Ali had a way of calling them guys Uncle Toms because Muhammad Ali was more outspoken. And that kind of went against him too in his career a little bit. It cost him a lot of his prime years. Refusing to go to the war and stuff like that. And I'm not saying he was wrong. By all means, he was right in what he did. But it's a consequence that comes with that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why I don't really cry wolf when it comes to Wilder and a lot of these other black fighters, because it's a free country. You can say what you want, but it's also consequences that come with that. So you got to be ready to deal with the consequences that come with that. You know what I mean? So,
right.
In corporate America, you can't try to get these big endorsement deals and marketing brand deals, but then want to still say, man, all these white people are racist, man. But who you think running these companies? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to look at that as like, well, if he thinks I'm racist, why am I going to pay him? Why do he want my racist money? You know what I mean? It's like,
mm-hmm.
that, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's how I look at it. What you think? Like, you know what I mean? Wouldn't you agree more with the AJ route?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that once you're being professional, things fall into place. From how you carry yourself, and that's not just as far as how you speak, that's even your nonverbals. That's even how you dress, from even how you eat to everything. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look the part to be the part, and if you want people to get behind you and support you, and they gotta like you. You can be the villain. You can talk a little trash. You can stir up a little controversy, but there's got to be something about you that they like. But you can't go overboard with it, because when it comes to your image and it comes to these large corporations wanting to get behind you and make you the face of their company, who wants somebody who's out here offending everyone, disrespecting everyone, has drama surrounding them? They don't want that, because now you have that around your product. Because you become unpredictable, they don't know what you're going to do next. They want someone who they can depend on, who's consistent, and they don't have to worry about They don't want high risk. High risk people result in the loss of big time money, and they don't. People, these companies aren't in the business to lose money. So yeah, I think going more the Joe Louis route is definitely more beneficial than going more the Jack Johnson route, or the Wilder over AJ. I mean the AJ over Wilder route.
That's what I feel like. You know, like you said, it's high risk. I look at it as I try to compare that to like the rap game, right? Like these companies try to fall back from signing these drill rappers. Like, you know what I mean? Because like these drill rappers that make a hot song, but then they dead the next day, or they in jail the next day. So these are street guys that picked up a mic and started rapping. So when I look at like Wilder and them, it's like, okay, we could sign Wilder to a big money contract. But dang, what's going to come out of his mouth tomorrow that's going to mess us up? You know what I mean? Like, that's going to make people look like, you supporting this dude? You know, like, look what happened when Manny Pacquiao said something about, you know, the LGBTQ community. Look how fast Nike took his deal away. So it's not always about a race thing because they did it to Manny Pacquiao. He's not a black man. He's far from it. You know what I mean? I think it's more so about knowing what to say and when to say it. Everything is not for the cameras. And I think that people like Wilder and Claressa Shields don't understand that, man. You know what I mean? And Claressa Shields is gonna have her Wilder moment because it's like she has to understand everything is not for the cameras. When you see people like Alicia Bumgarner with Jake Paul and she just signed like a crazy deal with Jake Paul and ESPN and now they getting this crazy money. It's like, but you fighting on Zone behind an app and you on Zeus Network and you wondering why you're not getting those Serena Williams type of deals and stuff. Everything is not for the camera. You can't get up there and disrespect Layla Ali and disrespect many boxers, talking about you could beat a man and stuff like that. Like, what are we doing? You know, and if Pat Poose and them really cared about her, they would tell her, like, yo, you got to dial it back. You know what I mean? You got to dial it back. Because how we going to get these deals if you constantly disrespecting everybody? And you don't look at it as disrespect, but it is. It's mad disrespectful. How would you feel as a man if some woman came up to you and I knocked you out? Now, we don't hit women, we don't condone that, but it's like, how would you feel?
Yeah, I may have a bit of an Ike Turner flare up and shit in the backseat of the goddamn limousine with Tina. that would rub me wrong. That would rub me wrong, you know.
Yeah, because you feeling like, all right, she trying to touch my manhood. It's like that episode of Martin when Gina said women could beat men in basketball. Now you like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like as a man, you feeling like you feel some type of way. So it's like, if I was a male boxer, I'm not going to fight Claressa, but it's just like, dang, I feel some type of way. Where it's like, I'm start looking at myself like, dang, am I trash or something? Like, why does girl feel like she could beat me?
Yeah,
like,
you got
like one punch, I put it out.
Yeah, with stuff like that, you gotta just take a deep breath, blow it out, and walk off. Even when they're like, "Yeah, you scared, you this," you gotta be durable, man. You gotta be durable with thick skin.
Whoa.
Take a deep breath, blow that shit out, and just walk away from it. Because Rolly could have fed into that crap. You know what I'm saying? But he just left it alone. You know, and I like the way he handled it.
Yeah, because what's understood don't gotta be explained.
Yep. And it's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose. You say something, you lose. You don't say nothing, you lose. So just leave it alone.
But it's something like you said earlier, right? That she does a lot of her social media shenanigans on purpose. I believe she's constantly saying that she could beat a man because she knows no man is really going to entertain her. So at that point, she's just bullying people because she knows that they can't defend themselves, right? Ain't that the definition of a bully? You bully somebody because you know they can't defend themselves. So, like, what is Rolly supposed to do in that situation?
Right.
Like you said, just be quiet. But
Yep.
it's like, if she constantly keeps talking about, I could be Rolly, it's just like, dang, after a while, I wouldn't be mad if Rolly be like, you know what, yo, strap up. I wouldn't be mad. I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying I wouldn't be mad, yo.
Right. No, I'm tracking with you. It's one thing if she said, I feel like I could beat male boxers, and she didn't say a name. But when you start naming people, you know, you're taking shots at them, and that puts them in a precarious position. But I agree with you. You can't get frustrated, and it could result in you saying, well, let's spar. But you think you can beat me? Bring the cameras in and let's see what's really going on. And yeah, I can see how that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be mad if Rolly did that. 'Cause like you said, she naming people. She ain't naming Terrence Crawford. She not naming Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? Like, why Rolly directly? Like it makes me feel like either one, you clout chasing off of him, or two, you really at home watching his fight, saying like I could beat him. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of crazy to me. Then she's saying like, yo, he ain't got no skills or nothing. But when somebody said that to Claressa, is World War III. She ready to, she ready to get the guns out, get Papoose up, call him up. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. Like, but that's just how I feel. I feel like you have to market to. You have to know how to market yourself. I'm big on that in boxing because these fighters put their life on the line, and I feel like they deserve every dime that they get. And I feel like you have to maximize it though, man, because boxing is a short sport. When I used to, real quick, I ain't gonna keep you too long.
No, you good. We just talking, man.
When I used to box, when I first started boxing, my coach told me, he said, "Yo, boxing is the fastest sport that you can make $1 million, and the easiest sport that you can become a Hall of Famer." And I didn't know what he meant by that. He was like, "Yo, you fight a couple of cherry pies, put your promoter put you in there with a couple of pies, and the next thing you know, you go into the big fight, and then you win. And you go into the big fight, not win. You go into the big fight, and then next thing you know, you getting $1 million offered to you to fight a world champion with. And then as soon as you beat that world champion, you win a couple of little belts in every division, or a couple of divisions, you're a Hall of Famer. But to maximize your profit, you have to know how to market yourself. And as much as Roy Jones and all the other people want to hate on Floyd Mayweather, the reason why I say he's the best ever, him and Muhammad Ali, is because they knew how to market themselves. They left no stone unturned. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, what boxer right now is marketing themselves?
I mean,
I feel like
male or female, male or female.
All around, male and female.
I think the one person that come to mind that we talk about every night, Claressa and her team are trying to figure it out, and they're making some moves. Whether we agree with what they're doing or not, they're making some moves, right? As far as men, I mean, really marketing themselves.
Really marketing what Clarissa's doing, because if no money is coming from it, then I think you're just making a clown of yourself at that point.
Well, but this is the thing, right? Do you? It sounds if they signed a deal with Zeus Network, there got to be some money in that. What she's doing on social media is some money in that, but it's like I describe it as low hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can eat this because you can just stand up, reach, and get it. It's easily accessible. But that real juicy sweet fruit, that mango, that high up in the goddamn mango tree. That's the sweet one. That's what you want. That ain't easy to get to. You take a little sacrifice and some risk and some discipline to get up in that tree and get that shit. And maybe some snakes up in there along the way may bite your ass. But if you really want it, you're going to have to make some adjustments to get there. And that's what we're talking about, like the Nike deals, the Adidas deals, the whatever, man, lifestyle deals. That's where I think we feel like, damn, why is she not going that route? It looks like her team is more picking that low-hanging fruit. But it's still a win, you know what I mean?
It's a win, but so you had her on. She called into your show. I remember that.
Yeah.
She called into your show. I remember her saying she turned down all these deals. She never said what she turned down, but she claimed she turned down over 20 endorsements, which I find that hard to believe because who's turning down 20 endorsements? That's crazy.
That's a lot.
But I feel like 10 years, she's been pro for 10 years. Claressa Shields should have her own, I feel like she should have her own shoe deal, whether it be with Reebok or anything. I feel like she should have her own shoe deal by now. Because right now, male or female, cherry pick or not, she's the most decorated boxer on the planet of the earth right now. 2 Olympic gold medals, 19 world titles, 3-time undisputed champion in different weight classes. So I feel like she should have some type of big endorsement that can make people be like, dang, I want to go get that Claressa Shield shoe, CrossFit shoe or whatever. Shoot, Kanye West not an athlete. He got his own shoe. 50 Cent had his own shoe back in the day. You know what I mean? So it's like, why doesn't she have her own shoe?
But what about their profiles? Them guys have huge profiles, you know, millions and millions and millions of people who spend their money on them. Claressa Shoes, I don't know if she's proven that she has that kind of fan base and people who spend their money on her like that, but that's interesting point you're making about guys who aren't even involved in sports getting shoe deals.
Exactly. But it's like, because I look at it like she's an athlete, so she already set the groundwork for that. 50 was a street dude coming out of Southside Jamaica, Queens, and he got his own shoe deal. You know what I mean? And he wasn't even an athlete. You know what I mean? He was one of the first rappers to get a shoe deal, clothing line and everything.
But he sold millions of records within a short period of time, and they knew that he was hot, so they converged on him, and they were able to capitalize. And he hasn't slowed down since.
But of course, but what I mean is like, how does an athlete not get a shoe deal compared to a non-athlete?
No, I'm tracking some kind of athletic apparel, shoe deal, something. You know, you would think there would be something. I agree, but I do know with the sport of boxing, there's never really been that much money being allocated to the sport, especially during Layla Ali's era, and even now they don't pump that much money into the sport of boxing. But you would think with Claressa's accolades, but that attitude is what we talked about. I think that right there is a killer.
Attitude, yeah. But Manny Pacquiao had his own boxing shoe.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think it was Nike, right? Yeah, Roy Jones was with Jordan and all that.
Could have had it too.
He just didn't want it.
He didn't want one, but he always priced himself out. That was the whole reason why he wasn't in the Fight Night video game, because he wanted part ownership of it. EA was like, nah, so he declined them licensing him. But you know, when I look at Claressa, I'm like, dang. Another thing that, I'm glad we talking about it. Another thing that really grinds my gears about not just her, but a lot of these fighters. Why don't they have their own gym? Why does she have her own boxing gym? You've been pro for 10 plus years. Why is Mayweather the only boxer that I really see have his own boxing gym? Why doesn't these fighters have their own gym? Why? They'll spend $100,000 on cars and jewelry and stuff. Why don't you have your own gym and make money off your gym? Mayweather don't even box no more, but he still make money off the Mayweather gym. He don't even be in there, but other fighters do, coaches do, and they pay memberships.
Some don't have financial literacy, man, and they don't have the people around them that have it.
You spending $100K. I'm looking at Claressa.
I'm tracking.
How much money she's spending.
I'm tracking
on Gucci and Louis, right? And I wish I could talk to her. I'll be wondering yo, why don't you have your own gym? Why do you live in Atlanta and your gym that you go to is in Miami? Yeah. Then you wondering why you gotta lose 30-something pounds in camp. You can't go in the gym. I see her on Snapchat talking about, I pay $300 a month for Lifetime Fitness. Why? Why don't you have your own gym?
Financial literacy, financial education, and lack of financial discipline, man. But I agree with you. I think about the same thing because I'm a disciplined guy. I've been that way since I've been 19. But you know what? I'm going to say this. You know how I became so financially disciplined by the age of 19? It's because when I used to bag groceries and stuff from age 13 to 16, we used to make at age 13, you making $300 a week, and you like the president. You know what I'm saying? You got money. But shit, I used to go back then. They had cash on delivery. I used to call East Bay. I get Nike boots, Timberland boots, New Balance boots, Etonic, Diodora. I had 80 pairs of shoes by the time I was 14. I used to spend all my money on that shit. Then I had to move. My dad wouldn't let me stay. He was forced to move. I moved. The mover stole all my shit. And my dad used to tell me, take some of your money, save some, and then buy you a ticket. Go do 2-3 years of school in Trinidad. Go chill with your grandmother. Get out of America, and then, come back after that. I never did it. And when the movers stole all my shit, I had Champion hoodies. I had all kind of shit. They stole everything. And I was like, damn, I wasted all that money on clothes. But that was, it took that for me to say I need to respect the value of a dollar. With Claressa and them, they maybe didn't get those lessons early in life like I did, but they're probably getting it now when, like, if they hear these conversations, maybe they'll stop and think about it. Because I don't care how much money you have. People can do what they want, but I don't understand spending $100,000 on jewelry. I don't get that. What you bragging about? Something on the wrist, something on the neck. I got diamonds on my drawers. Like, what are we doing here? That's stupid to me. So I agree with you. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Shit that appreciates. Right, I agree. I agree with you.
Like $100K, you know, $100K on a and I don't mean to get all personal, but I just saw this funny. You got $100K on your wrist, but allegedly your brother's stealing out of rallies and all that. But that don't make sense to me. But you know, like $100K, and like I see your moderator Rick. You know, Rick always going at me every time I call him. You know, he talking about she has access to her local gym in Flint. I'm like, but I'm not talking about what gym she has access to. I'm talking about why she don't have her own gym. I live in Atlanta, but I gotta fly to Flint to train. Like what? No. Wherever I live at, that's where my gym is gonna be at. Like Floyd Mayweather. The reason why he always had a head up on these dudes, because he can literally go to his gym anytime. He's the owner of the gym. Trains at 1, 2 in the morning, go in the gym. Just him in the gym. Him, Leonard Ellaby. Roger Mayweather maybe sometimes, or his dad, whatever. Just him in the gym. These other fighters, they can't do that. They live in Cali, but their gym is all the way in Texas. You know what I mean? Like, what sense does that make? And then you wonder why they walking around 40 pounds overweight. Like, yeah, because you can't be in the gym all year round. You know what I mean? Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about when, like, you spending all this money on stuff that don't matter. Now, granted, I'm not trying to pocket watch Claressa. She probably got more money than me. You know what I mean? I'm just a fan. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, like, I just hate when I see you don't invest in yourself, invest in your craft, man. You know what I mean? Like, you should have a gym because it's not just for you, but you can make money off that. She can easily bring in 60, 70K a year from that gym. And that's just money that you can put in the bank and save. You don't even got to touch it. You know what I mean? And then you can probably get some endorsements from that. Fighters make movies. They want to come to your gym, use your gym. You know what I mean? People want to do a commercial, use your gym.
You know what, man? That may be something that she's working on now, because you can see with the way the direction stuff is going for her. Which, look, I can take the emotion out of talking about people, but I'm looking at what they're doing with her. That she's moving up the ladder. It may not be the moving into areas that we want to see, but they're moving her up the ladder. So a gym and something like that could be what's next. Stop buying. Hopefully, scale back on buying all this depreciating bullshit. She'll stop and maybe will go a different direction. But she could be making the kind of money to where it doesn't matter. But we don't know. Like, we don't know that. We're just on the outside looking in, and we just have an opinion. But I hear what you're saying. But I think I'm gonna wait till like March of next year to see how things play out, because that's an interesting conversation, man.
I think the one thing I say about it is, right, if history shows us anything, I think it's more boxers and great boxers at that are more broke now than they are rich. You know what I mean?
Right.
I see a lot of fighters. That's why them old fighters have to keep coming out of retirement. They ain't coming out of retirement because they love fighting so much. I ain't gonna be 60 years old trying to come out of retirement because I want to jab somebody's head off. You know what I mean? I'm coming out of retirement because I need money. They had to take Evander Holyfield's license away just for him to stop fighting at one point.
You bring up a good point. Y'all see what Thomas Hearns, what he's going through right now? Now, I'm not saying he wasted money. I'm just saying something with him. Just there was some challenges there, and he has a lot going on now. He's with his estate and losing a home, and the son being responsible for him. But when you look at a guy like that, the money he made and everything in boxing, to see some of the struggles he's enduring now, that's sad. So that's interesting what you're saying. That is very, That's a good point that
They
you're making
don't.
there.
They don't invest in it. It's one thing. I don't think we go at everything Claressa do. I don't get into her personal life, who she dating, and all that. That's her. But from a sports angle, I'm not nitpicking, but I think it's more facts to what we saying than it's not. You know what I mean? Like dude Rick was saying, like, oh, what celebrity don't got jewelry? Cool. All these celebrities got jewelry, especially the black ones, right? But I feel like with boxers in general, Floyd Mayweather made over $1 billion in his career. And now he's having to come back at almost 50 years old to fight Manny Pacquiao. He has to put his legacy on the line once again to fight Manny Pacquiao because and this is fact. We've seen the Al Heyman paperwork. We've seen the lawsuit against Showtime. We've seen the articles about him owing the IRS and debt and buildings and stuff. So if a man who made $1 billion in his career can go broke, doing some of the same things that Claressa Shields is doing now, why is it not fair to assume that the same thing can happen to Claressa? You know what I mean? It can happen to anybody. Adrian Broner in his lifetime made a lot of money.
Oh yeah. You think Mayweather's broke?
I don't think he's broke to where he's about to be homeless on the street. I think he may be broke to his standard where he can't afford that lifestyle that he's used to. You know what I mean? He's not broke to where it's like, yo, I ain't got a dime. Like somebody asks you, like, shoot, I wish I did have it. I need something myself. He ain't that broke. You know what I mean? But he may be broke to his standard where, you know what I mean? Like I seen him when he said, yo, what he say he did? He spent $1 million on a watch.
18 million. Like, you talking about Floyd, right?
Yeah.
18. He have an $18 million watch. Crazy.
Now like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I don't care if I had Bill Gates money. I would never, ever spend $18 million on a watch.
That's wild.
Crazy. like at that point, you got too much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you need to give me, like, shoot, nigga, give me $18 million. Now, you could have invested that into me.
Right.
Like, I could use that. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I could find 18 million things he could have did with that money instead of going to watch. Like, but. I think we not really gossiping about Claressa Shields, Mr. Rick. I think we all fans of. I always said I'm a fan of Claressa. I think she just pisses me off sometimes because I see better for her. I think she can do better. I think the thing that pisses me off so much is that how she gives Win Records and them so much credit for how her career is going right now, when she's accomplished everything that she accomplished before they came into the picture. But when I see how, her man say, like, yo, I led her to an $8 million deal, and how she gives him credit for doing that, I just hate when I hear that. Because it's like, I feel like you belittling yourself. You did that. Not them, you did that. When Pap and them said, like, yo, Win Records put butts in seats, they not there because of you. They there because they want to see her. She already had sold out Little Caesars Arena before Pat Foose and them came into the picture.
Yeah, she's the superstar.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I get upset when I hear that because it's like, yo, I feel like they trying to take credit for Shorty's career, and it's like she already did that. And she lets them do that. You know what I mean? So, nothing different than what Don King and them did to Mike back in the day.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people say, man. They feel that that's the direction it's going. And I even have my opinion, but I'm always saying, let's set a planning factor and see how it plays out. Because right now, optics-wise, it looks like there may be a bunch of opportunists around it, but at the same time, we could be wrong. We don't know. We just got to see how it plays out. But I also say the same thing. She seemed to be doing pretty good. She told me she was making $1.5 million for her last few fights before she even called in to me. So if you were making 1.5, you were doing pretty damn good when it was just you and Dimitri Salita. So why get into this deal with Win Records, And I didn't get a chance to have that conversation with her, but I would have I would have liked to have had that conversation to say, but why get into that deal?
got it.
And how much more of a benefit has it been to you? But she just had one fight with him, so maybe to have 2 or 3 fights to really sit back and for her to be able to intelligently speak to us. Because after one fight, that doesn't mean it's a success. If you have 4 fights and you do outstanding all 4 fights, but now there's a pattern there, there's a trend there, and you can say this is a successful partnership. But the first fight could have bombed. Doesn't mean that the partnership is a fail. But if you have 3, 4, 5 fights and all of them perform the same, if it's good, then it's working. If it's not good, the shit's a fail. So, but I'm tracking with you.
So let me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, let me ask you a question.
All right.
Which would you consider a successful partnership with her and Win Records, realistic? At the end of when her contract is all done with them, within the next 3 fights she got left,
Yeah.
what would you consider successful?
Now, this is with me just limited thought being put into it. But I would say if she was already making 1.5, if these guys come in and supposedly they put butts in seats and they've done this amazing job to market her, to me she's doubling what she normally makes in a fight. So 1.5, maybe she's making 3 a fight now. When it comes to her not having endorsement deals and big, large corporations getting behind her and sponsorship type situations, she has that now, something she didn't have before. So to me, her pay, in my opinion, it should be doubled, and she should have more endorsement deals. She should have been marketed better. There should be more money coming in. She should have global exposure. They should definitely be moving up the ladder and not reversing. And of course, marketability, attitude, and the things she's doing to kind of clean up that image a bit and get her to look a bit more disciplined, to where she'll get that support of people, not just here stateside, but men and women, young and old, globally, to make a global superstar. But it takes time to make a global superstar. That doesn't happen in 6 months. But that's what I would think. Okay, in 2 years' time, damn, look where she was. She was out here being hated on social media, and people across the world not really knowing her to now. The whole world knows her. She has all these deals. She's a household name when it comes to just sports, period. And I think that would be successful, man. That's just my opinion, just with limited thought being put into it.
So, like, I heard you when you said the money. Now, money aside, so I feel like she could have got that money. She been getting that money regardless. Like, she made $1 million off the PSL.
Yeah. But I said more than just money. I talked about being a superstar globally and being a household name. Money was one of the things. I said a lot. I didn't just say money.
So you feel like, let me ask you this, like, I know you consider what Jake Paul and them, I think we all consider what Jake Paul just did with ESPN a success, right?
I think what he did with ESPN was a success. The deal he has out in the UK is a success. And the fact that Donald Trump is supporting him and endorsing him, that's a success. You're going to see Jake Paul blow up, MVP blow up, and those women make money hand over fist.
And that's only because it seems like he only promotes women. So, and I like that because he's bringing more attention to the women.
He has some male fighters, but do you think Jake Paul blowing up because he's white? Or because of his profile? Because of his profile and millions and millions and millions of people who follow him and support him? Or a combination? Or you think it's a combination?
I wouldn't say because he's white, because, I mean, Jake Paul been out for a minute before boxing. He never really blew up, for real. I mean, they know him before boxing for being, like, the Disney kid and all that, but him and his brother never really, like, I wouldn't say blew up. I think that Jake Paul blew up now because I think he entered boxing when boxing was in a dark time. You know what I mean? Let's be real, before Jake Paul, Turkish Al-Sheikh, and Dana White came into boxing, boxing wasn't exciting. Turkish Al-Sheikh and Jake Paul been giving us some good events. Even though we didn't like it, I mean, Jake Paul has put money in Mike Tyson's pocket. He just became the first person to give AJ $100 million, you know, and he's entertaining. You know, he gave us some good knockouts, some good mic moments. I think he's entertaining. I don't think he's just, you know, if he was somebody that just came in and looked to capitalize off the game and didn't give nothing back to the game, then I'm like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. It may be because he's white. But Jake Paul has gave a lot to boxing since he's entered it. He has put a lot of people in position. Like, the dude that's one of his trainers, Jalen Love. He used to be a fighter under Mayweather Promotion. Jake Paul put him in position where he's making money. He's making more money being Jake Paul's trainer than he ever did being an actual fighter. You know what I mean? And Amanda Serrano, I've been watching her throughout her whole career. And I remember I watched her at the Barclays. She always would be on undercard, never a main event fighter. And now she just made $8 million in one night versus Katie Taylor, headlining at the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, they made dope.
Paul did that for her in a couple of years. And she's been around boxing for years. You know what I mean? So even Alicia Bumgarner, before she signed with Jake Paul, she was fighting on the cop chasing act. No cap. She was fighting on the cop chasing act. Nobody watched that fight. And now, look, she's headlining at Madison Square Garden on ESPN. She done fought on Netflix and now ESPN. So, we can call it what we want, whether he's white or not. I think he paid his dues, man. I think he's giving back to the sport. And that's all we can really ask for. He's the reason why these women are popping right now. You know what I mean? So, but, when you compare what he's doing with his women to compare to what Claressa Shields is doing, how has Claressa Shields? That's what I want to ask you. Now, compared to what Jake Paul is doing for women's boxing, and compared to how Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, I think they brought women's boxing to new heights. How would you what would you say Claressa Shields has done for women's boxing? Now, I'm not talking about just her accolades. What has she personally done for women's boxing?
I'll say that
because when I hear her talk, she talks bad about a lot of these females.
Yeah, she doesn't quite support her colleagues. But I think Claressa Shields, just coming into boxing from the Olympics, brought a lot of attention to female boxing, because here you had this female fighter who was a 2-time gold medalist, and that got people's attention. Not because she was black and from Flint, Michigan, just because it was a female boxer who had 2 gold medals, and people were like, what? What is this? The only boxer from the America, to male or female, that get 2 gold medals. So that brought attention on the sport. Now, once she became, but it still brings attention to the sport. But it's her accolades, but it brings a lot of attention to the sport and get people looking like, what the hell's going on over there with them females in boxing? Now, once she turned boxing, it sounds like she was an advocate for women, equal pay, which I think has brought some attention to the sport. Now, people are probably tripping like, damn, Hood Champion is actually talking in support of Claressa Shields. Look, I'm a fair dude, man. You know, I just like making them jokes. Man, please, Pat. But the thing is this, right? She has brought attention to the sport. She's been an advocate for equal pay with the men, so has Serrano and other fighters. But some of the other stuff, it's kind of hard for me to say what else she's done, because the only thing I know about and hear about is her being online making all this goddamn noise. So, I mean, but when I look at her now, I think in her own way, she thinks she's really drawn attention to women boxing. You know, whether you like it or not, what she's doing out there in Detroit, someone says she gave away half the tickets. Now, I know for a fact they give away 500 to 1,000. I ain't gonna say a fact. Someone at the radio station said that, and the library said that they get tickets and they give some away. I think 500 to 1,000. I don't know if they give away half the tickets now. We got to hold our horses and not take it to the stupid. But I do think she brought attention to the sport.
Everybody gives away tickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, everyone does. But when you bring attention to the sport, that brings money, and everyone benefits. But I don't know. I can say she's been the person I hear spearheading and advocating for women's boxing. Now, I don't think she's taking the lead on that. I don't know enough about her doing that to give her that title. Now, when it comes to Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, I can talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you see these women have had the platform, the profile, and when they get in front of that camera, the things they're saying, the things they're doing, you know, Amanda Serrano wanted to fight 3-minute rounds. Alicia Baumgartner wanted to fight 3-minute rounds. Having fought 3-minute rounds, Alicia Baumgartner is about to fight 3-minute rounds again. So I tend to give them a bit more credit as spearheading and carrying that torch now more than Claressa, even though she's done some. I just don't know what else she's done except just bring the gold medals and talk and just dominate the sport. I don't know. I don't know what all she's done specifically except bring the gold medals, which has brought attention to the sport.
But I feel like, Katie Taylor doesn't get enough credit. And a lot of people don't do their research. But Katie Taylor has revolutionized women's sports. Because the reason why women's sports is women's boxing is even the Olympics is because of her. Because of her. She was so good that they had to put women's boxing in the Olympics. Katie Taylor had to fight men in the amateurs.
Yeah, she had to disguise her. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I feel like she doesn't get enough credit. People say, "Oh, Katie's overrated. I'd rather watch Claressa Shields," but they don't do their research. Like they just live. This is my problem. When I say like I love boxing so much, I hate when people fool the people. Like when certain people try to fool the people. Like Claressa tries to fool the people. She tries to make it seem like she did this and did that. No. Okay, you advocated for fair pay. Cool, whatever. It was only like an extra $1,000. It wasn't nothing too crazy anyway. But Katie Taylor actually is the reason why they put women's boxing in the Olympics. People talk about, I feel like a lot of black folks only like Claressa because she's black. But take race out of it, right? Why Katie Taylor don't get her praise? You know what I mean? And she doesn't get her praise. And one thing I respect about her, she doesn't go out her way. I should do this. She's not loud about it.
No.
People don't give her the praise. You don't see her talking about it. She don't really care. But when I say what has Claressa done for women's boxing, I give you an example. Look what Mayweather has done for boxing. He made it. Nobody was getting $100 million paydays before Floyd Mayweather. As much as people want to say, "Oh, Floyd Mayweather messed up boxing," people scared to lose their O. Floyd wasn't scared to lose his O. He fought everybody. It's because you got these scary fighters now that don't want to fight each other. Don't blame Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, the reason why these dudes can even make $100 million in boxing anyway.
Yeah, Floyd was a beast. Floyd was a beast, man. They need to stop hating on him.
Yeah, he gave them the blueprint, though. He gave them the blueprint to make $100 million. Floyd Mayweather, a black American fighter from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grew up in the hood. Daddy was a drug dealer, went to prison, all that. He made $100 million. That's why when we talk about race earlier, I don't really think it's race. I think it's a marketability thing. Floyd Mayweather was a black man, and he was a controversial black man. You know what I mean? Went to jail to this, father, this, and the third, like that. But he worked hard, and he fought who he had to fight, and he marketed himself, and he believed in himself. He the one that he made that money because he wasn't just talking, he was walking. He fought Diego Corrales, De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, and all of them. You know what I mean? So he made it possible. So when I say, what has Claressa Shields done for women's boxing besides run her mouth and hate on these women? You know what I mean? Like, what has she done? She hasn't done nothing. All those gold medals, that's personal accolades, and hats off to her. But what has she personally done to make women's boxing a better sport?
No, good question. I would have to say, I don't know. I do think that her and what she's done from the Olympics and as a pro and dominating every fight, that can be motivating and inspirational, and that creates a contribution to the sport of boxing. But as far as elevating women's pay, I don't know. I don't think she's done that. As far as bringing, yes. That's what she would have to answer that as someone who, a diehard Claressa Shields fan, can come and break that down, because I follow her. But I can't say I don't know if her doing that, I don't know if her doing it.
She don't even go to these fights.
Well, I don't think she's really welcome. I don't think she's welcomed over there because she's burnt so many damn bridges by disrespecting everyone from Jake Paul to Layla Ali to Alicia Baumgartner to Katie Taylor. The only one she seemed to support a little bit is Caroline DeBar, and I think she does that because she look at Caroline DeBar being from the UK and a black female fighter, and I think that's why she supports her. And Caroline DeBar supports her, but I mean that ain't really cool to me. Support everybody. But she will say positive thing about the women too. I ain't gonna lie. She does say positive things about the women too, but she said negative things before as well. When I perceived it as negative, and someone could say, well, she's just confident, and she said, y'all look good, but I'm better. Even Roy Jones said that. De La Hoya, he said, Oscar, Floyd, y'all good, but I'm the man. You know, he said that during an interview back in the day when he was on HBO commentating. So, but I get you. I'm tracking with you, man.
She says good things about females she likes. You know what I mean? Like I feel like she's friends with Carolyn Dubois because that's Alicia Bungo on her op right now, and she wants Carolyn Dubois to beat Alicia Bungo. You know what I mean? But I don't. I mean, like I said, I like her, but I just feel like to call yourself the GOAT, you have to revolutionize something. We call Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time, not just because of boxing in the ring, but because of what he stood for and what he done. He revolutionized the game. Floyd Mayweather calls himself TBE, and I agree with him because he revolutionized the game. He made it possible for these fighters to get more money.
But her story's still being written, man. Her story's still being written, and she seems to now be at that. She seems to be now in that point in her career where she may be really trying to do things that's going to put her in a better financial space, and as far as fans and support, and that is where the women can benefit and say, Claressa kind of set the bar really high for us when her career is said and done. But her story's still being written, you know.
It's still being written. I mean, she's 10 years in the game. I feel like if she wants to see a happy ending, she got to change her attitude up. I'm not saying be a yes man. No, be you. But what I'm saying is he has to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. You don't have to be on go 24/7. When you got a fight coming up, by all means, sell yourself. But when you ain't got a fight coming on, you don't have to be still that same turned up Claressa should. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to know when to turn it on and turn it off. That's what I feel. You know what I mean? That's Floyd told that to AB, did he not? He told him that. You got to know when to turn it on. When them cameras are on, shine. No doubt. Sell yourself. But when them cameras are off, you don't have to be, you don't got to be ignorant 24/7, man. You know what I mean? I think it's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, 100%. You got to know when to retract those quills. You can't keep them out all the time, poking people and being aggressive. Yeah. It's all entertainment. But I think one reason why. Well, have you watched The Fire Inside? Have you watched that movie?
Yeah.
You watched that movie. You know, for me, I just watched it the other day, and it gave me a better perspective on why she's the way she is. But I also understand that this thing with social media, and if she's really making thousands of dollars a day, she ain't gonna turn it off because she's gonna turn it on because she's in front of a camera and she's doing what she has to do to get people riled up. Then she gets off the camera, she goes back to being, Coco, cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. She go back to being Coco. But when that, I think she's cracked the code on going viral. I think she's cracked the code on going viral. That's what I think.
So you think when them cameras are off, you think she's a completely different person?
No, I still think that she's the kind of person that can be a little bit chippy if you test it. But I put it to you this way. I know someone who knows her personally, who reached out to me and we had a conversation. I'm not going to say who it is, but if I say something, I don't make shit up. By now y'all should realize that Hood Champion he may be rubbing shoulders with a couple of different people, and I would never say who it is. But they told me they're like and look. They said she's a really sweet person, but she needs validation. They're like, but you get to know her away from all the bullshit. They're like, that ain't the person you deal with. They're like, but she does need validation. She's a little bit insecure on some things. They're like, but she's a really sweet person. And when the person told me that, the person who told me first, that shocked me coming from them. But I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And it was a male and female. And the male, it ain't Terrence Crawford. It's somebody else who's a name just as big as him. And the female is a big name. And I was shocked that they told me that. And I was like, all right, cool, got it. I mean, but she's still out here doing whatever, but I'll keep that in consideration, when I see it. But yeah, they did tell me that.
So you feel like, when you say validation, you mean like she has to constantly be told that, yo, you the best, you great, you pretty, you beautiful, like...
Pretty, you're beautiful, you're great, you're this, you can beat men's asses, you know what I mean? If you had gotten in a fight with them, like she needs that. She needs that, you know what I mean?
that sounds like somebody that lacks self-confidence.
Well, that's what he said. Needs validation. You know what I'm saying? A bit insecure. That's what I just said that. Yeah. So yeah, of course. Not someone who's grossly insecure to the point to where talking about having a permanent end to a temporary situation. Not like that, but just like they need that. You know, because really think about it, right? And from what we see on the outside, what's the one thing that's pure and perfect that Claressa Shields has control over, and she has controlled it perfectly, is when it comes to boxing. Without that, if she were to take a loss, forget taking a loss. Let's say she gets in a fight where it goes a split decision and she's been dropped twice, but she still wins. But she won by split decision, been dropped twice. Claressa Shields, the aura of invincibility surrounding her, that shit's out the window. I think she would lose her mind. Because everything about her and being the GOAT is dominating and basically making other fighters look like they don't belong in the ring with her. You know, so yeah.
Like another Deontay Wilder, like when he lost to Fury, that whole image of being like the killer from Alabama, that went out the window.
Well,
So
yeah, but there's a whole lot more to that Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury stuff, you know, that I feel based on my research. You know what I'm saying? You know.
No, I mean like the aura.
Yeah. Kind of like that. You see, but there's so many things that were going on with Wilder, with the personal life, professional life. But yeah, with me just sitting all that aside and just talking about he was a killer. Then he got knocked out in the second fight. He lost the third. He got knocked out in the third fight. That aura of invincibility, the ship sailed. With Claressa, if she goes through something like that, the ship would sail. Forget what else was going on. We're just talking boxing. Yeah, I'm tracking with you.
That's for those fighters who like are built up to be invincible, or at least build themselves up to be invincible. As soon as they take an L, or as soon as they kind of like have a bad day, they kind of like not the same no more. And then you see them kind of just constantly get beat on after that. Like Roy Jones got knocked out by Tarver.
Oh, that's a good example. Yep.
Knocked out by the other dude.
Yep.
And then Roy Jones just kept getting knocked out.
And then Prince Nassim Hamed, when Barrera dogged his ass.
That's kind of like...
Prince Nassim Hamed dogged.
Yeah, I mean
he got dogged by Barrera.
I don't even think he fought after that.
He fought one more time, but that was it. He just couldn't get his confidence back. I think he had one more fight. Did you catch that?
One more fight?
Yeah, I think he had one more fight, and then that was it.
After Mike Donna beat him,
his confidence was gone. He was never the same.
Donna was the same way.
Wouldn't let his hands go. Yeah.
And he couldn't let his hands go after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you feel like that's what happened with Claressa, where like she take a. I mean, with her is like. I mean, I feel like that's fake confidence. You know what I mean? Where it's like, is she really confident if she got to constantly be reminded that she's the best and this, that, and the third? You know what I mean? That's like, I feel like these new fighters with Shakur and them, they constantly got to have Terrence Crawford and they can't, or they just don't feel like they can win. It's like I be seeing all these dudes. They be having Bud and they can't. And if Bud not in they can't, they feel like they can't win.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Them guys
be the greatest fighter we ever seen.
Well, it's like Crawford said, iron sharpens iron, and he doesn't mind getting there working with him. It's just like Andre Ward was always in a lot of Crawford's camps, and they would get some work here and there. Crawford didn't need Ward, but it's just iron sharpens iron. That's all I think it is. Them guys were whipping ass in the amateurs without Bud being around. So I mean, I just think it just gives them a bit more confidence. Like, damn, I was able to get some work in with Bud, and I handle myself respectfully. And it's if I can get in there with Bud and handle myself, when I get in here with this guy, it's gonna be a breeze. I think that's all that is.
Mm-hmm. Last question. I'm gonna hop off after this. Last question for you. Last question. I want your honest opinion on this.
Yeah.
So, Claressa Shields, right?
Mm-hmm.
Claressa Shields, as a fighter, do you think, pound for pound, where do you rank her right now as a fighter, male and female? Is she top 10 in the game? Not no accolades. I'm not talking about accolades, because I'm talking about just fighting. Is she top 10 in the game right now? Male or female?
Male or female? You're talking about if we comprise a composite list of male and females and just created a top 10?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I probably would throw her in there for sure. For sure, I would. Yeah, I would throw her in there. Yeah, I ain't a hater. She's interesting. I make jokes and shit, but no, I ain't a hater. I throw her in there. She deserves that. She earned that.
Mm-hmm.
She's dominated, man. I mean, it doesn't matter who she's fought. She's been perfect. It's unpredictable. And if she continues that, she's running out of fights. She's running out of opponents. If she goes back down in weight, she's running out. I mean, she's almost like Layla Ali, where Layla Ali ran out of opponents. She's running out of opponents. So I got to give her that. And she's been out here scrapping for almost 10 years now. So
10 years. She's been scrapping for 10 years. She definitely built a career for herself. But I would say, like, if I had to put it up, her against Katie Taylor.
But Katie Taylor, again, Claressa's story it's still being written, but Katie Taylor definitely belongs up there. Her and Katie Taylor belongs up there. Serrano belongs up there. And I think Claressa belongs up there. You know what I'm saying? Those women have done amazing things in the sport. And
would you be mad at me if I told you my true goal is Katie Taylor?
Hell no, because that I think Katie Taylor I didn't say Claressa should be the number one ranked female. I didn't say that. I think Katie Taylor edges all of them out. Katie Taylor is a beast. And the other thing, I did a video on Katie Taylor and Claressa, who's the real GOAT or something like that. I read up on Katie Taylor. I didn't know she had all them accomplishments as an amateur, man. Yo, when I said, holy shit. I'm like, but she doesn't talk about it. Eddie Hearn will talk about it. She doesn't talk about it. See, Claressa, every day, she says, 2-time gold medals, 19 world championships, 5 weight divisions. Every day she says that. Katie Taylor says nothing. But when I did the research, I was like, whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Mad humble. She's the reason why they put Olympic women's boxing in the Olympics.
She's a problem. She's a problem.
She's my GOAT. I love Katie Taylor. You know what I mean? I love her because I like when people are humble. Where it's like, I ain't gotta tell you what I did. People know what I did, and that's the type of person she is. Where it's like, she don't really talk about her accomplishments. They talk about it for her.
Right.
So when it's all said and done, it's like, I don't gotta brag about nothing I did. People gonna keep talking about me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when people say LeBron is GOAT, but everybody know Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He ain't gotta talk about it.
Right.
People know what it is already.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
LeBron, no matter if LeBron plays till he's 60 years old, he'll never pass Jordan.
Right.
Never. You know what I mean? But I appreciate you for letting me on here, man, for sure. I enjoyed the convo, man.
Yeah, man, you call back anytime. You actually added to the conversation, which is what it's about when people call in. I really appreciate you, man.
Definitely, man. Well, I'm gonna